Yeah, it's mindset cafe, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin, and today we are joined by a visionary entrepreneur, Eric Mchugh. He is working on some bridging some cutting edge technology. He does a lot of personal development stuff as well, and that's where I really think that he'd be a great fit for you guys on the Mindset Cafe. But he's really making some waves in like Web3 and AI and all these quantum spaces. So I know it can be a lot of confusing things. Believe me, I'm not even super knowledgeable on it, and that's why I really wanted to dive in this topic today. But he's working on some projects like ShopX. He's working on some other things called Datingio, which is almost like an AI platform aimed at really making 1 billion happy couples. So Eric, thank you so much for topping on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to be here and looking forward to the conversation. And by the way, you crushed the intro music. I thought it was a great way to start things off.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it. Let's dive in a little bit, though. What is your backstory, right? How did you get involved in Web3 and all that kind of stuff before we really dive into what that is?
Yeah, sure. So to be honest, I was just kind of going with the flow. So I believe in two things. I believe people are happiest when they're serving other people. And I believe in the power of authenticity, meaning I'm the number one me in the world. If you try to be me, you can't beat me at being me. But if I try to be you, I can't beat you being you. So logically, if you're trying to serve as many people as you possibly can, because that's what makes you happiest, then the only way to do that is to be your authentic self. And that just happened to manifest for me in two different companies. One, ShopX, a Web3 e-commerce platform, and the other is Dating. It's an AI-powered matchmaking service. So right after college, I got a job at Snapchat helping craft their ad algorithm. The main reason I chose this is, you're from LA, so you'll get it. It's like the location is right on Venice Beach, so it's a pretty sick location. And on top of that, they don't have one big campus. They have a bunch of different office buildings. So you'd walk around and work with different people. I thought that was cool. After that, I joined as a bankruptcy consultant, helping companies go through the Fortune 500 or the bankruptcy process, which didn't align with my ethos at the time because I was really getting obsessed with Bitcoin and it was taking up all my mind space. So I quit that job, started going to cryptocurrency meetups in my local area, met the ShopX team. We've been building that for a while. And while ideating on a problem for ShopX, that turned into a different SaaS platform that got VC funded. So at a young age, I was in one of the best incubators in the world, surrounded by some of the top entrepreneurs in the world, absorbed all that information. And a while ago, I was on a crypto podcast tour because obviously we live in the attention economy. I went on this one run by the student Mark. We became friends after the podcast, kept in touch. And then this weird AI thing started following me on Twitter. It's based off of Cortana from Halo, if you guys play. I'm like, oh, who's this? He's like, oh, it's Mark. I'm thinking about building this company. I'm like, this is funny. It's a great idea. It helps a lot of people. And then I've been working on both simultaneously.
That's awesome. Well, let's rewind a little bit. You said you were in, the algorithms and stuff for Snapchat, right? How did you get into, working on algorithms, or I know I'm blanking on the technical term, like I'm guessing coding, right? How did you get in that space? What led you to that space?
Honestly, I was just applying for jobs. So I got an offer from Google, an offer from Facebook, and an offer from Snapchat. Google and Facebook they're in the SF area, and Snapchat was in Venice, so I kind of want to stick around SoCal just because I personally love the sun. And it was a cool environment too. Like, it was right before the IPO, and obviously I joined a bit late, so I didn't get any stocks or anything, but I wanted to be, because I believe in energy too. It's like, I wanted to be around a company going through that type of transformation. I thought it'd be entertaining. So I'm like, okay, this is a great first opportunity. And I just kind of, I don't know, when an opportunity comes, you have to take it.
No, that's awesome. So did you go to school to learn how to code or learn algorithms or?
No, so I went to Irvine for business and psychology, but like, honestly, I didn't learn too much. I mean, I hung out with a bunch of friends. It was a fun experience. I interned in DC and Spain, which was wonderful. But like, all my real learning happened after I graduated college, when I started reading, started consuming as much knowledge as I could, surrounding myself with better people, and actually enjoyed the process versus school. Like, like school, you're kind of like forced, like, I don't care about this test. And you kind of get like a B or C, and you're like, oh, this is fine. Like, it was never enjoyable, but like now I legit enjoy learning. So the learning curve is getting much, much better for me.
See, that's awesome. And I have so many of those conversations because, I mean, while I do the podcasting and stuff like that, like my actual business is I own a franchise. So I'm franchising nationwide. And so people immediately like, oh, do you have an MBA? Honestly,
No.
no, I don't. Actually, I went to school. I have a kinesiology degree.
Yeah.
I thought it was way cooler to learn about human movement. And while that's a part of the gym, like that, all the business stuff, like I started learning afterwards, right? So you being, like myself, right, really consuming content and knowledge and all that stuff after college and in your free time, what are some of the big areas that you really, rely on to continue your personal development journey of just knowledge?
Yeah, so honestly, one of the important point for consuming knowledge is it's like your diet. So everything, like, if you eat bad food, you feel bad the next day. The people you're around and the content you consume are also part of your diet. So if you consume bad content, you feel bad the next day. You want to avoid that. So a lot of my knowledge journey was actually letting go of the content that didn't serve me. So for example, I was like on Instagram Reels like a while back. I'm like, okay, how much of this actually adds value to my life? Scroll, scroll, scroll. Turns out it was very little. So what I did about that is I put Instagram. Well, I need Instagram and Twitter for both companies, but I've also been trained to get dopamine from those platforms. So now chess.com is right next. It's right in between the two apps. So whenever I have the urge to mindlessly scroll, I break out a couple games of chess, and that's much better. And in terms of knowledge, honestly, just constantly reading, constantly listening to stuff on YouTube, constantly on, like, I have a Twitter that's actually good content. So I've curated a Twitter with just nothing bad, just a bunch of spiritual stuff, a bunch of entrepreneurship stuff, a bunch of anime, which I like. So I'm just careful about what information enters my field, and I've curated sources to continuously get the good information, which is nice because you get the algorithms to work in your favor because they're working anyway. So might as well feed you the good stuff.
No, that's awesome. So, I mean, let's talk about the algorithms a little bit, right? Because not everyone. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and, being a part of networks and stuff like that. Some people say there are algorithms that, are in your favor for certain profiles and there aren't for others. How true is it, with, growing an audience or trying to market or trying to brand? How true is it that the algorithms you can get to work in your favor, or if they're not already working in your favor? If that makes sense?
Yeah, no, so if they're not working in your favor, you're kind of screwed. I think we've all been at the point, because if you've actually tried to grow a brand, trying to grow an audience, odds are you've probably tried some I call it guerrilla style marketing, where you just kind of try random stuff and see what works. And that often lends you to be shadow banned. So I think that's the opposite of the algorithm. But if you can hit the sweet spot, and the thing is, they're constantly changing too. But like, if you get the sweet spot of like the right image, the right first image, like if you get, like, for example, like TikTok, if you show like a cute girl at the beginning, it's going to push you in the feed, and then if you get the right interactions, it further pushes you, and then it further pushes you. So you really just, the thing is, like, I don't really try to hit the algorithms. It's like I just put out content consistently, and some things pick up, some things don't. And the ironic thing is, some of my most viral content is just kind of stuff I've thrown out there. I'm like, there's no way it's going to do well. And then all of a sudden it does well, where it's like something where I'm like, I need to really time this. Let me just bring out some fake profiles and like it and reshare it amongst them, and then that just bombs. And from a spiritual perspective, I think it's because that style is showing neediness, and I think we can all agree that neediness is a pretty unappealing trait. And if you're trying to, like, I need to go viral, the universe is like, oh no, you don't, sir.
No, yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, believe me, like, there's some pieces of content that, whether it was my business or personal, that I was like, oh, this one's gonna hit the spot, and then all of a sudden it's like 2 likes, and I'm like, oh, what the heck? And then all of a sudden something else, that we did for the business, all of a sudden it got 3 million views, and I was like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. So if an algorithm, if you think you're shadow banned, or if you think the algorithm not working for you, is there any hope for, you getting out of the algorithm's bad, favor?
Yeah, so the way I would check for shadow bans is if you want to, like, throw in a hashtag, like a random hashtag that didn't exist, like hashtag ZXP, whatever. So it's like not a real hashtag. Then you can search that hashtag. If your content doesn't show up, odds are you're shadow banned. Really the only thing that's worked for me is just letting it cool, just stepping away from for a day, a week, however long it takes. Because if you try to force it, you're just going to push yourself deeper in shadow ban jail.
Got it. Well, let's dive a little bit into, some of your background, because I mean, honestly, I've heard some of the terminology, but it is one of those things where it is next level and it is an up and coming technology, really. So what is Web3?
Yeah, sure. So Web3, Web1, and Web2, they're all just made up words for the progression of the internet. But the easiest way to understand and for Web3 to be successful, it's going to be like you just log on and Web3 stuff happens. You don't even know Web3 stuff is happening, and that's how it's going to win in the long run. But Web1, the easiest way to think of Web1 is read only. So you go online, you read stuff. this is great because it's helped us all as humans spread information faster. And I think the more learned we are, the better we are. Web 2, the easiest way to frame that is social media. So in Web 2, you can read, you can write, but you don't own. So for example, I can write an Instagram post, you can read my post, that's fantastic, but Instagram owns the post. So if we say something on this podcast, that's not okay now, or 10 years down the line, they can cancel us and take away both of our content, which isn't good. And if you think of money as a form of content, which I do, that even adds greater risk. So in Web 3, it's read, it's write, and own. You can read, write, and own. So you can read content, you can write content, but you also own the content. And what my company does is it helps brands on board into the Web3 space. So like, let's say I'm an e-commerce brand, I launch a Web3 product. You now own that. You purchase the Web3 product because you want the incentives that come with it. You now own the content. If you piss me off as a customer, I can't take it away from you. If Amazon gets mad at you, Instagram gets mad at you, the government gets mad at you, they can't take it away from you because it's you. And now, because you own the content, so really the vehicle for that is either NFTs, cryptocurrencies, or RWAs. It's just a connection, a direct connection between a creator and consumer, and whatever form that creator and consumer takes. Like, so you could be an artist, you create a Web3 product, your customer owns it. Now, like 20 years down the line, like, okay, who are my OG customers? Oh, these wallet addresses own my OG ticket sale from my first concert. I'm headlining Coachella. Here's some airdrop tickets, so you can send value back and forth.
That's crazy. And I mean, have you, I heard of someone, I don't know what country it was in, but someone actually sold a house using an NFT, like somehow the deed to the house that's attached to the NFT. Have you heard of things like that already being kind of developed?
Yeah, so housing is a pretty logical case. So you just like, you can also do like an NFT key where it's like, oh, your Airbnb being a house for a week, the key works for a week, here you go. But that's actually what ShopX is doing. So right now we're creating digital equivalents or digital twins to physical products in the luxury space just because of that splashes. So we've had people tokenize an NFT, like for example, McLaren. Someone purchases a McLaren, they now own the NFT, and that NFT, or RWA as we like to call it, can now redeem the product online in the form of token gating. So for example, let's say you were purchasing an iPhone. You don't want to wait in line for Black Friday. So you purchase the iPhone online, you have a digital equivalent on your wallet. When the iPhone releases, you go to the website, you click iPhone. If I don't have the NFT or RWA to get access, it blocks me off right there. But if you do have it, you go right to the checkout and it ships out as usual. So that's going to be an interesting space. And the long-term effects of it is, I think, because the thing about e-commerce products is they're pretty illiquid. Like if you want to sell stuff online, like there's not too many ways to do it. Like if you go to like Amazon or eBay or some centralized service. And if you sell stuff on Amazon, they're not the friendliest to the seller. So they kind of take a lot of money. But hypothetically, in a world with NFTs or RWAs, everyone can sell everyone's products. So Nike can sell Lululemon product, and Lululemon can sell Nike products. So you go to the Nike store, it's like, okay, I want some shoes. Great. Oh, they're selling a Lululemon product. You purchase the Lululemon product and the shoes at the same point in time. You get two products, so you're happy. Nike gets commission, so they're happy. Lululemon gets a sale, so they're happy. And then on top of that, if the metaverse or AR becomes a real thing, that's the perfect equivalent to. So like you purchase Nike glasses, great. Your metaverse avatar, they have the same Nike glasses in the digital world. Great. Now you have access to the Nike metaverse lounge with your favorite creators or whatever, or vice versa. It's like you purchase the glasses in the metaverse. Now your cryptocurrency wallet holds that real world asset. You go to the Nike store, you redeem that RWA for a product. It's a win-win. And on top of that, like you can also track the history for the product too. So like imagine, and this is a problem in the luxury space. So like imagine you're buying a fancy, because we tokenize like some high-end luxury watches like Petites or Rolexes or whatever the case. So imagine your Petite, you attach a NFC chip to your high-end watch, and now there's a digital equivalent to that, and it follows the customers. So you're like, okay, it sold once, twice, 3 times for X amount of money. Great, you get that data. You can program in a commission every time it's sold. Fantastic. You can also monitor who sells it, so you can see if only authorized resellers are selling your product. So that's good for you. But you as a customer end, you can trace it all the way back to Petite. You're like, okay, this is an authentic watch, because you don't have to drop hundreds of thousands of dollars on fake product. Or like, okay, this is from Petite and it hasn't been stolen, so it's above ground. Great, I can go ahead with that purchase.
That's crazy. See, I mean, when I was thinking of Web3, I was thinking of the metaverse, I guess, and that's the extent I was thinking of it. And I was almost, I guess, intertwining the two, things, I guess, and that's where I was like, okay, well, Web 3, I didn't realize there was a Web 2 and a Web 1. I just thought it was like a cool branded, metaverse term, so that's crazy. How would a brand that's not using Web 3, let's say, for example, I own a gym, how would a gym integrate, Web 3?
So that'll be nice. That's awesome that you're in a gym. I think health is super important. So congrats to you, man. But so in terms of Web3, it might be harder for you. It depends on what you want to do with Web3. So Web3, so it's in infancy, meaning there's a bunch of people trying a bunch of stuff. A lot will fail, but some will work. When something works, people can copy it. So what we do specifically with ShopX is we integrate within the e-commerce platform. So we're an app within the Shopify ecosystem and the WooCommerce ecosystem. So for your listeners, if just like you have an iPhone, you can download random apps like, okay, I want this and it does this thing, you download it. If you're an e-commerce store owner, there are apps to help you get sales, whether it be like email tracking or Web3 interface. So if you're on Shopify, which is the largest e-commerce platform, you can just go down the ShopX app and then interact directly within the Web3 space. So the thing about Web3 is there are two reasons it hasn't been massively adopted yet. The first is incentive. It's like, honestly, there's no reason for my mom or your mom to enter the Web3 space. And that's where companies like ShopX are trying to change. I was like, hey, get this Web3 product, get an e-commerce benefit. Maybe that helps people along the line. And the second reason is the user interface just simply isn't there yet. Like, I would never send my mom to a Web3 product because it's just too confusing. It's too clunky. But the good thing is Web3 is composable, which is essentially the compound interest of software, which basically means everyone copy and paste code. So problems get solved once. So once, like, for example, Nike goes all in, they have the resources and incentive, and they're not going to send their customers through a janky user experience because we both know how fickle customers are. So they'll develop a solution, then Reebok has to, then Adidas has to, and then everyone can just copy them. And then it's like a gradually then suddenly movement.
Okay. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about where the future is going to go with that too. With that, I mean, is Web3 really integrated with like crypto, or are they two completely different? Like, could you pay with, a credit card on Web3?
Yeah, so the way we built that out is, so Web3 is pretty much, I consider like a crypto-based ownership, and crypto, like meaning like NFTs or RWAs or cryptocurrency. And the whole goal is to move the crypto on the back end. So for it to work, my mom has to take out her phone, tap, things get done. She doesn't need to know anything. So the way we designed our software is, so for us, you can purchase the NFT. So we're still building out the specific product Shopify app. So you can either purchase the NFT or the RWA with cryptocurrency, but we also want to build out a credit card payment option too. So we were working with a payment provider for that. That's low-key kind of annoying, but we've also, with one of our other products, ReserveX, like it's an NFT-based loyalty program. So like your brand, you download a Shopify app, you launch NFT as a loyalty pass. You can send benefits like discounts, early products, and all that stuff. So users could either purchase with cryptocurrency just to keep the Web3 ethos, or pay with credit card. And what's happening with the credit card in the background is, let's say you purchase NFT, you're just putting in your credit card information. You're technically purchasing Ethereum, and I'm getting sent the Ethereum, but you as a customer don't need to know that, because you're just like, oh, credit card, pay, let's just pay.
I got you. So what do you think the importance of, crypto is, because I know right now it's blowing up, Bitcoin's blowing up. Some of the other coins, are blowing up, not at the same speed as Bitcoin. But what do you think crypto has an importance in our society today and in the future?
So I think it's more of an incentive structure. So the reason I got into crypto, my overall goal is to live a nice, peaceful life. I found that to be more difficult if the money system was corrupt, which led me to physical gold and physical silver solution, which led me to Bitcoin, which led me to ShopX. If I can onboard people in the ecosystem, because you can't force anyone to do anything. So it's like you can lead people to the ecosystem if they want to learn more, they can. But I think Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it incentivizes value creation versus value extraction. So let's say, I think money is energy. And I think if you make a lot of money helping a lot of people, I think that's great because you'll probably give back to the world. But let's say I want to become rich, really rich without doing anything. What would I do right now as an American citizen? I would place myself right next to the money printer, aka the Federal Reserve, and I would extract as much money as possible, putting me in a position of power. And now, because I have access to the unlimited money supply, I'll always beat someone who doesn't have access to that. And I bring my 3 corrupt friends, and then we get we get corruption from the top down, and that's what we currently have. And that's because the incentives misaligned. But in a Bitcoin world, let's say, first off, if you have any Bitcoin, I would love your Bitcoin. How do I get your Bitcoin? Well, I can't inflate it away from me. I can't inflate it away from you. I can't take it away from you. I have to produce something of value for you, and then you voluntarily give me your Bitcoin. So now it's like, okay, well, how do I become as rich as possible? Because I think money's great. I can do good things with money. It gives me freedom. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, money. No, money is good. We like money. So it's like, if I want to produce as much money as possible, how do I do this? Well, the only way for me to do this is to produce as much value as possible. Well, going back to the theory of authenticity, and I'm happy serving other people, then the way for me to make as much money for myself as possible is to follow my natural gifts and see where that leads me, because that's where my excitement is. And that just happened to be two different companies. And AI is also a tool that can also leverage that. So it's like, okay, well, I want to start an e-commerce website. I don't know how to write a website. Thank you, codes. And I can actually do that. And this generation, I think, is going to help out down the line. But like, imagine 5-6 generations down the line where people are living in abundance over scarcity, and they're just trying to create value instead of trying to take value. I think we'll have an exponentially better future because of cryptocurrency and AI. And just overall, people are good people too. Like, they're just trying to, despite what's being pushed, like the average person's a good dude or a good woman just trying to make a living. And I think cryptocurrency and AI makes that easier.
No, definitely. And I definitely agree with you. The future, there is a bright potential for the future, right? It all depends on the moves that we make as a society. And, one thing I have noticed too, I've seen even Bitcoin, like ATMs, the integration to crypto is happening, right? Whether you want to get on board or not. Now, one question, since you're actually two questions, since you're involved in, you're really knowledgeable in the crypto space, right? First question would be people that are getting into crypto to try to avoid like government regulations or, that kind of thing. Do you think that's a smart move? Or do you think that it's always going to be regulated because there is the blockchain and receipts and all that kind of stuff? Because that's what I think is there's a paper trail, some form or fashion, right?
Yeah, so if you're trying to get into cryptocurrency to avoid government regulations, that's very unlikely to end well. And the reason it's unlikely to end well is because cryptocurrency is an open ledger, so you can track everyone's transactions. So if you're trying to do nefarious activity, they'll trace it back to you. So don't do that. But
no, yeah.
The good thing is it creates a system of pseudonymity, or whatever the word is. So like right now in our current system, the people at the top, aka the government, they can peer into all of our transactions at scale and just cancel us whenever they want. But now if we adopt a cryptocurrency system, we can look back up at them. So like imagine like whatever, the Pentagon fails like every audit that they ever do by trillions of dollars. It's like, no, okay, now we can see where actually every dollar is spent. And they see, like, let's say my wallet is doing activity. It's like, okay, Eric's 16 word string of random letters. They bought a Coke, they bought a TV, who cares? But they don't know who the person is. But like, okay, this person paid for something sketchy on the dark web. They don't know who the wallet address is, but they can easily find out with detective work. So they're scanning everyone without knowing the people. So like, if you're living a board, just living a chill life, just doing your thing, like they don't know exactly who you are. But like once you like try to do nefarious activities, which isn't good, so don't do that.
Right. No, yeah, I've heard people over the years like, you just do it or send me Bitcoin instead of, Cash App or whatever, because it's not traceable. I was like, you are out of your mind. I was like, it is open, like the book is open, but that was me not knowing that much, and so that's awesome to get some recognition on that and, some clarification on that. Now, in terms of like smaller coins, are you into the smaller coins, or do you just stick with pretty much Bitcoin, Ethereum, those kind of ones?
Yeah. So every time I think there's plenty of coins. So a lot of the coins are scams, but a lot of them are good. So there's going to be like, it's just an early industry. So it attracts scammers, it attracts real builders. I like Bitcoin. I like Ethereum. Big fan of Chainlink. So I don't usually ask like, what are you into? I'm like, what do you specifically hold? I own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink. I've dabbled in other projects and got burned. So I've been burned plenty of times. That's how you learn. But the coin I'm most interested in is the ShopX tokenized license. So the thing about ShopX is, to gain access, and this is like one of the first ever, which I think is cool. It's like our tokens are tokenized software licenses. So if you're a brand wanting to enter our ecosystem, you have to purchase the right amount of tokens or tokenized software licenses. If you want to leave the ecosystem, you can sell it on the open market because it's your own free will. And one of our biggest clients was Fox TV shows Cryptopolis. So like a while ago in the bear market, we timed this lesson learned. We timed the nose of this horribly. So like peak bear market, we announced our Fox partnership, and obviously no one cared because it's the middle of the bear, but we were able to pass legal scrutiny from Fox's team, and they were able to acquire ShopX tokenized software licenses to gain access to our products and services. So that's the one I'm keeping an eye on. So
That's awesome. Well, congrats on that. That's huge. So let's go into the other software, and stuff that you're working on, right? You're trying to create happy couples, and when someone thinks of that, I'm sure that they're either comparing or mentioning, the other current like apps and stuff. So how does dating,
Let's call dating. The name's dating, but yeah. So it's what it is. It's the first ever AI-powered matchmaking service, and there are problems with it. So I think overall human happiness is very important, or overall authentic actual relationships are very important for human happiness. And I think dating apps and social media push the needle in the opposite direction, although they're both useful. But so there are three main problems with dating apps. The first is the top 5% of users get access to everyone on the app, so it creates a skewed marketplace. The second is it's based on hot or not. So are you hot? Yes or no, swipe left, swipe right. And the third is the incentive structure behind the dating app. So if you're Tinder, you match a happy couple. What happens? That happy couple then should leave the app. That means Tinder loses a paying customer. Tinder is working with Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs would sell their own mother for $5, so they don't like that. So they rely on something called churn marketing, meaning you keep someone on a Ferris wheel. So if you hear about someone downloading the app, deleting the app, downloading the app, it's all by design. And most apps are owned by Match.com, so there's somewhat of a monopoly in the space anyways. So what dating does differently is we auto-generate dating profiles based on your digital footprint and then create matches based on other users' digital footprints. So I can get 3 matches. Ashley, Kimberly, Jane. It's like, oh, Jane seems cool. Tell me more about Jane. I get a little bio of Jane. I'm like, okay, match with Jane. It's like, okay, you guys connect your Facebook. She's the youngest. You're the oldest. Pattern recognition says that works well. She connected her Instagram. Oh, a bunch of national parks. She connected her YouTube. You follow the same artist. Oh, she connected her Spotify. Did you guys know you both have this one artist on Spotify that has a concert coming up? Would you like me to suggest a date with Jane? And then suggest a date with Jane. Jane sees my profile. She sees a AI generated like bio about me. And something cool we're building too is, let's be real, a lot of guys can't present themselves well. So we can we can highlight the better traits for a guy. It's like, for example, let's say you're really into Legos. Like, this guy is really good into Legos. It shows creativity. It shows he can create a safe space. It shows he's a builder. And then we can highlight traits like that and put the guy in a better light. And it helps with the girl too, because girls can't choose very well. So it helps the selection process for them. But either way, let's say me and Jane, we go on that concert date. We fall in love. We get married. Whatever. That's awesome. Then the app can switch to a relationship. But like, okay, you guys haven't been on a date in 3 months. This new ice cream spot opened up. You guys would like it. Or it's like, oh, her birthday's coming up. You always miss this. She just added this thing to her Pinterest board. It might be a good gift. And the cool thing is, it could be a community building app too. So let's say we actually meet in person, which actually is that's a possibility. We can grab a workout. So let's say we meet up in person. We're like, oh, this guy's name's Shova. I don't really know him. We take out our phones, tap, and it shows us what we have in common. And it's just hanging out for us to do. Or it's like, some of our interns are at SDSU and they're both in Greek life. And we're like, oh, how do we expand this SDSU? It's like, okay, well, you're big and little pairing. It's like, it could pair with that. Or it's like a workplace hangout. There's 4 guys who never hang out. Here's what you guys would like. Or it's like, find me 5 guys in my local area into Muay Thai, into meditation, like tacos. So I can connect people long term.
See, that's super cool, because you guys are taking the concept of just dating and making it a life app, right? In more than just dating, but also in like friendships and building community, and you're not losing customers because you're basically what's level 2 after dating, right? Making someone's life truly better. And so I think that's awesome, because I've seen different, go on these, it's almost like a box, and it's like you have to pull a card and do that date or whatever. And it's like something like this is like, it's really catered to the person. Like, you might pull a card and be like, okay, you're going to go to a play. And it's like, I don't want to go to a play. Like, but this one is like catered to what you guys both like. And that thing, that's so awesome. And I think that's going to be huge when that does, take off. And is it launched yet, or is it in the process of being launched?
So we're in the process of putting in the final touches. So we're aiming for a February 14th launch, but then we're also dealing with Apple Store, getting the app in the store. But yeah, we're aiming for LA first. So definitely join the waitlist and join. But we want to copy Uber style launches, meaning going city by city. If we match someone in New York and LA, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess, but probably pointless. So we want to match people in the same city first.
Is it gonna be similar to like some of like the dating apps and stuff where it's, you have like a radius, or so that you're not matching someone across the country?
Yeah, so it's a combination of AI pulling data from your social media. So what happens, like, let's say you connect all your social media accounts, as long as we get the passwords, everything, it scans your social media and then creates specific tags for you based on your digital footprint. The reason we choose different types of social media like YouTube, Pinterest, Gmail, Apple Health, Apple Photos, and all that stuff is because like Instagram is a different story than your Twitter, which is a different story than your Pinterest. So we want to get the complete photo. So you as a profile, you get a bunch of tags with a specific correlation. Like you have that hat, LA Dodgers. I'll give you like a 0.6 or something. And then it's like, okay, people like the LA Dodgers tend to match well with people who run and whatever, like random matches, whatever happens. And the thing about AI is it's really good at pattern recognition at scale. So it's going to be able to pick up the traits that correlate positively with each other. So the more users it gets, the smarter it gets. The more you're on the app, the smarter it gets. So unlike other apps that keep you on the app, the more you're on the app, the more it learns about you, the better it gets it matches you. So like you can be like, I'll start feeding people who are similar to you. You say, no. It's like, okay, well, let's try something different. You say yes, it tweaks its algorithm and starts shows you people like that.
No, that's awesome. So I want to go into one of the mantras I know that you have, and it's as above, so below, as within, so without. Now, how does that play within your spirituality, and how does that perspective really influence your work and your daily life?
Yes, that's one of the bases, and it's from Hermes Trismegistus. Highly recommend everyone research him. So he was, I call him the Giga Chad of the universe. So he was one of the people who mastered the physical, mental, and spiritual realms. He eventually became known as Thoth, the Egyptian god of writing or whatever. And most of the secret society, all their teachings are based off of his teaching. So it's highly influential. Check him out. As above, so below essentially just means the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. So if you want to change the outer world, how do you change the outer world? You have to change the inner world. It's like looking at a mirror. It's like, I'm looking at a mirror. It's like, you have to smile. How do I make you smile? It's like, well, you can't make the mirror smile. It's like, you have to smile yourself. And that's where the positivity and the mindset stuff comes into, because I think of everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So when you're saying, I'm angry, I'm loving, I'm happy, I'm peaceful, you're saying I'm vibrating at the specific frequency. And just like a radio station, when you turn to that frequency, you get that station. So when you're angry, you are on the angry frequency, you attract angry people in your life. But when you're loving, when you're helpful, when you wish everyone the best, it turns out you attract those people in your life. So it's both pragmatic and helpful to be a positive, loving person, because you can attract positive, loving people, which I think is pretty sweet.
No, that's awesome. I think that's so true. You know, it's that perspective when you look for problems, you know, or you think the world's, you know, creating problems for you, well, then you're only going to see problems. If you think the world is, you know, handing you opportunity after opportunity, then the world's going to keep giving those because that's what you're looking for. So I think that's awesome. Now, one final question before I have people, you know, before you give your information to people connect with you, I like to ask this question, and I don't like to give this preface before we had the conversation because I want the authentic answer. You know, on Eric's legacy wall, right? What is one message that you've learned over the years or that holds true and deep to your heart that you would like to leave for the up and coming generations?
Yeah, sure. So you're creating a reality, whether you know it or not. So when you're consciously creating a reality, don't harm anyone and don't take anything away from anyone. And you should be good to go because karma 100% exists. So if you make money and do bad things happen to you. But if you do good things happen to you.
See, that's awesome. That exactly. Plain and simple, mic drop on that one. Well, Eric, where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me personally, my Instagram is the best because I like the voice message thing and it's much easier to chat. So Eric, ERIC, DMCHUGH, ShopX, it's SHOPX.co, dating, DATAING.io, but who knows, that may be allowed by the time you listen to this.
No, that's awesome. And guys, be on the lookout for that dating. It keeps confusing me because it's like dating, but dating is coming out, dropping hopefully, you know, February 14th. I think that's going to be a huge one. But Eric, thank you so much for coming on today, guys. Make sure that you guys share this episode with a friend. Make sure you guys leave us that 5-star review. But Eric, we appreciate you. We love you. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had a blast.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slacking.